Hey guys, what's going on? Dylan Northcott here. Today I just want to talk about when you're getting started in the gym, how to go about programming and what exercises to do. Because I know when I first started going to the gym, I had absolutely no idea what any of the equipment did or how to program or what exercises to do. I see people going in the gym, say 14, 15, 16 year olds, they're already playing footy or some other type of sport. And they want to get bigger, stronger, faster, so they can perform better. But everyone goes straight for the bodybuilding style training. Today I just want to talk about strength training and how it can be programmed for sports and even specifically just to gain strength, even for starting out early in powerlifting. So there's 7 fundamental movement patterns that I feel should be targeted when writing your first program in the gym. So we've got the squat and hip hinge for the lower body, vertical push, vertical pull, horizontal push, horizontal pull for the upper body, as well as rotation and anti-flexion, extension and rotation for the core. So I'll explain what each of these do and examples of exercises for each of these. And also how you can separate these throughout the days of the week. So for the squat, self-explanatory. The main exercise for this movement pattern is the squat. So this can be the barbell back squat, barbell front squat, and accessory movements can be things like lunges or anything that's very knee dominant compared to the next exercise I'm going to talk about, which is the hip hinge, which is hip dominant. So this is going to target things like your deadlift,
holy shit,
your back extensions, and barbell hip thrusters. Moving on to the upper body exercises now, we've got vertical push. So this is anything that's moving in the vertical direction and you're pushing the weight away from you. So these are the main exercise for this would be the barbell military press. This is done bilaterally, or you can do it unilaterally with a dumbbell overhead press, so either seated or standing. And similarly, the vertical pull is anything moving in this direction. The fundamental exercise of this movement pattern is a pull-up or a chin-up. So anywhere where you're pulling your body towards an object or you're pulling an object towards you. So this could be a lat pull down, pull up, chin up. And most of these are bilateral, but they can also be done unilaterally, we'd say like a single cable or something like that. Moving on to the horizontal movements now, we've got the horizontal push. So this is anything moving at 90 degrees to your body, or roughly 90 degrees to your body. So the main exercise for this is the barbell bench press. You can also do dumbbells, you can do cables, and I would count cable flies within this movement. So it's still moving in that horizontal direction, and you're technically pushing it in front of your body. So the opposite of this being the horizontal pull. So this is moving at 90 degrees, moving the weight at 90 degrees to your body, pulling it towards you. So a seated cable row pulling the weight towards you, but this also applies to a bent over barbell row, which isn't necessarily horizontal. It looks vertical, but it's still at 90 degrees to your body. So when you're bending over and pulling the weight towards you, it's still at 90 degrees to your body. So that's it for the upper body exercises. We'll move on to the core exercises now. This is where I see people training the core wrong a lot of the times. They train the core in flexion a lot of times, so this will be doing sit-ups or straight leg raises or things like that, where you're making the core move. In a sport-specific situation, you're wanting to be able to brace and hold your body in its position against an external force. So this could be during a tackle or when making a throw or kicking. You want to be able to transfer energy from your lower body to your upper body efficiently, because the a lot of the power comes from the lower body, and you may need this for a rotational throw or anything like that. The main movement pattern for the core would be rotation. So you're wanting to use power from your hips and transfer up into your lower body, and this is all transferred through the core. So these are the 7 main movement patterns. I've added these last 3 in as other core movements when they're not necessarily movements. They're anti-movements. So you've got anti-flexion, anti-extension, and anti-rotation of the core. So this is pretty much being able to control your body from external forces. So this will be plank or hover. So this is resisting extension because gravity is wanting to pull your body down towards the ground, and you're resisting extension by holding that brace in your core. This can work the same with like a side plank, so that's a lateral hold. You're resisting lateral flexion of your core. And anti-rotation, so this could be having a band or a cable attached to a pillar, having the band come across and holding it out in front of you. This band's going to want to pull you across and rotate around, but you're holding it in that position, and it's working on your external and internal obliques. So as I've stated here, these are the 7 movement patterns, and then I've added in these 3 at the end. So the next thing I'll move into is how do you program these in a strength training program. So this can be done a variety of ways. For a novice lifter, I would recommend 3 times a week going to the gym and completing at least 1 exercise in each of these movements. 3 days a week gives you enough time to recover between days, and that way you're hitting most of these movement patterns 3 times a week. In the principle of progressive overload, you're going to want to increase the volume or increase the intensity of each of these lifts. So as this happens and you become more of an intermediate lifter, you may need to separate these days to be able to get that amount of volume in each day at the gym. So you may go for a lower body, upper body day, and then add core in where you can fit it easily. Or you could even go for a 3-day split of a lower body and then go for a push day and a pull day, or you could go lower body and then go for a vertical movement day, so you do the push and the pull, and then on the other day you do the horizontal push and pull. So that's really focusing on agonist and antagonist muscles. When you become more of a higher level intermediate or advanced lifter, you may even want to separate these lower body movements because they're very taxing on the nervous system. You may have a designated squat day and a designated hip hinge day, so a designated deadlift day, just to get that additional volume in those movement patterns. Okay, so the fundamental exercise that I would say for each of these 7 movement patterns would be predominantly using barbells. So for the squat movement pattern, I would suggest a high bar barbell back squat. For the hip hinge pattern, a conventional deadlift. Vertical push using the military press or overhead press, same thing, different name. Vertical pull using a pull-up or a chin-up. Horizontal push using the barbell bench press. Horizontal pull using a barbell bent over row, because this will enable you to target the anti-flexion as well, because you'll be holding that braced position, and the bar and the work of gravity will be wanting you to round over and pulling you down to the ground, so you'd have to hold that braced position. And then for rotation, there's multiple exercises you can do, but I would say one of the simpler exercises would either be a cable wood chop or a medicine ball wall throw. I just want to add that the workout splits will be mainly personal preference. I provided some ideas of how to split up the days and the exercises. It's not all experience driven, but That's a large factor, especially with progressive overload, needing to increase the volume. But experiment with a few and see which one best suits you. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you found this helpful. Leave a comment down below if you have any further questions and I'll get back to them.